You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
What you are about to hear is real. The prophets wrote of a time when the signs of the end would be seen. This is where Bible prophecy and current events collide. This is Unsealed.
All right, friends, welcome. Yes, this is Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. That's the ministry we perform here. Good morning to you. Christopher Manti is me, just a brother in Christ. And sorry, I'm about 5 minutes later than I thought I would be there. It's a beautiful day out, though, at least where I'm at. Got to enjoy that. Anyways, good morning to Bondservant, to T-Rex, who's got the popcorn out already. Praise God for that. It's always time for popcorn. And please, as always, please share this if you can with your people, with your networks. It's a simple ask. Just hit the button. But we do want you to participate, obviously, here if you're watching. If you're listening podcast-wise, sorry about that. But if you're on YouTube or Facebook, etc., definitely go ahead and make yourself known. Ask any comment. Ask any question, make any comment, whatever. You're welcome to do that throughout our program here. And, of course, we are brought to you by your support alone. If this blesses you, please support the ministry in return. wingsoftheeagle.com/donate. Lots of options there for you, and I appreciate it very, very much. That's how this thing will continue when people support regularly. Anyway. All right. Continuing our theme here the past couple of weeks, because I'm still convinced, number one, that it's an historical turn of events that we're witnessing. Maybe a little slower than folks would like, but it's happening nonetheless with this UAP slow disclosure thing that's happening. So it's been about a month since we had public testimony under oath in front of the United States government by unimpeachable witnesses, two of them pilots, giving what they and their teams and their instruments saw and recorded up close and personal like, and another who was an insider, I hate that, was a government employee tasked to look into these things, and he found out a lot, and when he tried to find out more, he was stonewalled, so he came out and is a whistleblower right now. And what I wanted to first put out there, hey, David, I see you there. Give me 1 sec. I'll get right to you. So what I wanted to put forth today is in the description itself. And first of all, before we begin, why we are doing this and why this is different than most everything on this topic that's out there in podcast land and YouTube world is this is a Christian organization doing the podcasting. This is a Christian pastor doing the hosting. This is a concern from a Christian point of view, and I want to talk to other Christians about it. This is not a New Ager thing. This is not a atheist thing. It's specifically about the church and about what the Holy Spirit is trying to do and say. And because it's been happening for quite a while now, whenever Christians start to talk about this or ask about it at their local churches or to their pastors or to their group of brothers and sisters, they are routinely mocked, laughed at, ignored, or basically just have no information from leadership, and that's wrong. And many end up leaving the church and apostatizing. And so, as much as we want to, correctly be on the lookout for great deceptions as far as this UFO thing goes, and that's the standard Christian line, is that these are all deceptions and demons, and don't believe it, don't be deceived. Okay, we can get there, but by the same token, don't be arrogant and be deceived in your own mind and being puffed up, because that's not what the Lord's doing. He's not like that. And so we've got to be very, very careful. And again, as much as we think this great deception is the UFOs are coming and aliens and all that, the fact is that people are falling away right now because you won't talk about it. You the church, we treat them a certain way. Those who maybe they've had experiences, maybe they've seen things, maybe they have things they cannot put into words or what have you. This is a serious situation. And it's real. So that's what the hearings have shown us, is it's real. There's no debate anymore. There's no, oh, do you believe in this? It's not a belief thing. We know they're flying around out there and they're behaving in dangerous, threatening ways, at least to our pilots. And that's not ending. That's ongoing. And we could talk about that maybe today, maybe next time. It's not a 3 incidents or something like that we're debating from years ago. It's happening today. It's happening yesterday, literally. Commercial pilots and military every day. But there is still this stonewalling, can't admit certain things going up in our halls of power. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Before we get going, I see a comment by David. I'm not sure if this is relevant, my friend. New molecular south-spun electron fluid concept now dovetails with the 7-year cellular rebuild cycle in the human system, now making it possible to remain in the body for up to 1,000 years. I don't know what that means. You're going to have to help me there, David. And you're going to have to tie it into what we're talking about today. Okay? So it's blocking disclosure. That's what it's about. And here's the blurb about this. This is from... folks who know. This is to rebut maybe you are one of those who think, oh, this David Grusch guy, it's one person. He's giving evidence, but he's not saying anything. He says there's evidence, but I don't see it. It must be made up, or it's just one guy, whatever. Or who knows, who really knows anything. It's just one committee, this and that. Here's the one aspect of it that you're wrong about. David Grusch has given 11 hours of classified testimony before 2 intelligence committees. Here it is. The SSCI with attendance by attorneys. The SSCI is the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. This is the top of the ladder as far as anything intelligence related in America. It's supposed to be. Anything the CIA, military intelligence, naval intelligence, all these things with intelligence by their name, answer, if they're supposed to, answer to this committee. Who are they? It's chaired by Mark Warner, Democrat of Virginia, and of course the Democrats are the majority in the Senate at this time. That's why they have one more member on this committee. But here they are: Ron Wyden, Dianne Feinstein, everyone's favorite, Martin Heinrich, Angus King, Michael Bennett, Robert Casey, John Ossoff, and Kristen Gillibrand. Kristen Gillibrand is one of the, like her or not, she is one of the prime movers of this issue. And she is really becoming a pain in the rear for the intelligence community in a good way, in a disclosure way. Okay. Who's on the Republican side? You may have heard of some of them: James Risch, Susan Collins, Tom Cotton, John Cornyn, Jerry Moran, Tom Cotton, John Cornyn. These guys are arch conservatives. Okay. These are not like Susan Collins types, even though she's there too. James Lankford, Michael Rounds, and the vice chairman, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio. Yeah. Again, him and Gillibrand have been the prime people on this. And so they were there. Their attorneys, or the attorneys for the Senate, were present at this 11 hours of testimony, as well as 13 representatives from the HPSCI. The HPSCI is the House version of the Committee on Intelligence. So these are from the House and the Senate side, all your representatives. All your representatives who are supposed to be in charge, elected folks who know what's happening and who take your tax money to fund, pay for these employees to do their intelligence thing, and are supposed to know everything, but they don't. So they had to get together with 13 reps from the House side, the whole Senate side, plus attorneys. They have had 11 hours of classified testimony from Grusch. Congress currently has, and this is the quote, currently has everything they need to subpoena first-hand participants divulged as participants in UAP programs and those who are blocking disclosure. Okay, it's not just a couple question and answers that you saw last month in front of the TV cameras in public. 11 hours of names, places, programs, any data, any photos, whatever Grusch has, he gave them. No holding back. No, I'll get back to you. So the folks who are saying, well, why don't we have this and that? He's doing it the right way. Some things are classified for a reason. The issue is we don't know what those reasons are. Some things can be released. Some things should be released. So the big word on this is blocking disclosure. Disclosure is, in a Christian sense, revelation. It's revealing what's been hidden. Now, Jesus, remember, promised that there is nothing that is hidden that won't be revealed. Nothing. So this is going to come out. Okay? Whether it's right now or at the second coming, not guaranteed, but it will. It will. And many, you're talking about dozens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 17 plus 13. That's 20, 30. 30 representatives have heard in person 11 hours of classified testimony. Names, dates, locations. If you read between the lines of what Grusch did say in public, he's saying there is a decades-long crash retrieval, or what we would call a crash. This a vehicle that has been in the air has, for somehow or another, whether we brought it down, they brought themselves down, there was an accident, it was on purpose, they landed, I don't know, but there was a craft on the ground that we have, or parts of it that we have in our possession. He says that's a fact. He says there are biological entities that came with some of these incidents. Make of that what you will. And there is a, lack of a better term, a secret government who gets money for free and never is accountable for it. And every time you try to look into the programs, you can't, because you're not authorized. You're not read into it. Even the president of the United States, if you read the work done on this, even presidents are not fully read in. It's like illegal, highly illegal stuff. So whether the reasons are good or not is really not the point. You can't do things illegally just because you think the reason is good. we're talking government employees, okay? I'm not talking about moral, do I vote or not, or, do I violate the law to spread the gospel? Okay, that's not what we're talking about. If you don't like the rules of where you work, you leave, right? If my company has a restriction on this, or they're keeping secrets, or from me or from others in my company, or the shareholders or whatever, and I know better, I have to leave that company morally, don't I? Or that's what Grusch did. Or I have to make sure it comes out and use all the internal mechanisms. And I understand it's not a perfect comparison with a private company versus the U.S. government, but as far as being a worker there who knows something is happening and is being kept from others, not only the public but other workers, and people are getting hurt and money is being stolen, and you don't say anything, boy, that's on you too. Okay, if this somehow, I'm sure it won't, but if this message somehow gets to someone in these programs, do the right thing now. Don't wait. God is watching. He is not indifferent. Jesus is expecting you, especially if you are a follower of Jesus, to do the right thing by him. And that is, if you're too afraid to speak up, you have to resign. You can't be a part of the works of darkness. And that's exactly what this is. I don't care what your reasoning is. It's literally keeping folks in the dark, committing crimes, and not being accountable for it. That is darkness. That's satanic. Okay. So again, even if you might be, and the reading that I'm catching up on now is I'm trying to really absorb the Christians who are in the government and are in these programs or in the military who know about these things, getting their reasons for doing this and thinking it's actually evil. Satan is in the UFO thing, and that's why they're not saying anything. You don't get it, friend. You have got it. You have been tricked. Okay. I don't care if it is Satan up there. I don't care if these are all demons flying around. You cannot keep it a secret. You're playing their game. So who is blocking disclosure and why? Well, you have a complex, as a former president would have referred to it, a military industrial complex. And I understand paranoid conspiracy theorists have used these terms forever. I understand, but it comes from somewhere real. And so that's real. There is when he said that, oh my gosh, Truman? Somebody remind me. When he said, beware the military industrial complex, that's a weird thing for a president to say. Isn't he supposed to run those things? Like, he's saying there was, even in his time, this is when did he say this? The late 50s? That there was, even at that time, a partnership between the United States military and private defense industry companies that were hiding things and not being accountable. And whether it was just to fight wars and kill more people or something even more secret, he said it was not cool. he said from what he knows, it's not good. And they're not planning on changing their ways. So beware. I think that advice can be heeded. Okay. All right. So one other thing I wanted to get into is, so we've got 30 minimum 30 U.S. representatives know exactly everything that Grusch has said and claims. and names of witnesses and locations that these programs are happening at, vehicles perhaps are hidden at, new technologies that have sprang from it with private industry help that may be very, very illegal. And the fact that we keep paying for it and they won't tell you what they're paying for, and it just disappears and goes nowhere. And at a certain point, this has got to stop. It's already, like we said last week, they're putting pressure on wimpy representatives like the dude from Ohio, who won't stand up for the truth, to pressure other Congress committees to not have any more hearings, for example, because it would damage the reputation of the Department of Defense in the eyes of the public. What kind of crap is that? They know it's something is there. Why would he be told that? Why would he go around on Fox News and tell people that? Why would he go to other Congress people and tell them to shut up? If it's nothing, so what? Let it go away. It's not going away because they know something's up. And like Mr. Burchett, the House guy who's driving a lot of this, trying to get people to come forward and so forth. He's seen so many examples. He says people, they've come to him in private and say, these things are happening all the time. You got to do something about this because we're not being heard and nobody's caring. And whenever we're going to having near misses on our jets and stuff, we're going to have, we're going to have an accident here. And worse, there's going to be shooting. And so the response up till now, and it seems still continuing, is whenever these things are seen and recorded, because again, your normal, don't confuse the military with everyone in the military. The pilots who are, commanders of squadrons and people on aircraft carriers, don't assume they know anything. Again, this is part of why the secret has held for so long, is because nobody knows. The conspirators, that's what it is. The conspirators know that the more folks know, the more apt it is to get out. So you tell nobody. You tell almost no one the whole story. Almost no one. And everyone who does know a part of it doesn't know the other parts. All they know is go to this aircraft carrier, get this data that was recorded of this UAP, and destroy it. And so they're, I would say, a bad soldier, but a good one, and listen and destroy it. And ignore that it ever happened and tell the pilots you never saw that. You got no place to go. You got no recourse. And if you proceed, worse things are going to happen to you and your family. I mean, that's how it's been. That's what it is. It's like the thuggery. It's like the mob all of a sudden, right? You tell anyone, I'll hurt your kids. Anyway. So who's blocking disclosure? Well, folks who think they need to. And what else did I want to bring up here? Hang on. By the way, please continue to just ask away, guys. Make comments. We'll talk about whatever. There's a magazine called The Debrief. Recent U.S. pilot UFO sightings convey serious concerns. Aviators have potential collisions with unknown objects. NASA is collecting this. And what's happening? Nothing. Here's a quote. I have never witnessed anything like it in almost 30 years of flying. Several recent pilot UAP sightings reported to NASA that the debrief has learned of convey serious concerns about aviators have potential collisions. So again, I just want to stress to you guys, this is a clear and present danger. This is a situation that's happening in August 2023. And every month, okay, it's if anything, it's increasing. Okay, it's not something that we can debate that happened in 2004 or 2014 and say, oh, I wonder what's going on here. We got to look into it. No. Imagine if, I don't know. Imagine if China or Russia or whatever, North Korea was invading our skies every day, almost hitting our planes, and we just decided to do nothing about it because they haven't shot yet. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Just from a real base level, do you care about defending your country type of stuff? And even the folks, the Arrow, the NASA, the Defense Department, like all the, even though their laws are being passed now and they know they have to comply, or they are told they have to comply, they don't anyway. So they, at some level, they think to illegally steal money, to lie, to obfuscate, to distract, to deflect, to mock, all that is preferable to the truth. They think your government, your intelligence and defense industries are the ones who know, and the private companies who are in on this, who are frankly being totally evil, believe that it's in your best interest to not tell you, not tell anybody, not tell the people who give them the money, to betray our own security in our airspace. Because we know, I mean, things are, there's another article you should read. Chris Mellon is one of the higher ups in the United States government a few years ago, and he is committed to getting this stuff out because he knows a lot of these details. He says, what's up with America's multi-billion-dollar air defenses that all of a sudden can't tell anything? Multi-billion-dollar air defense system. It's by far the most sophisticated, most expensive system in the history of planet Earth to detect anything in our airspace. And yet we're told we never saw those things. We don't know what, well, if it was there, we don't know what it is. Come on. We spent, here's the article says, we spent tens of billions to create the most extensive air and space surveillance systems in the world. How well are they working? For example, NORAD, which their only job is to defend the airspace of North America. These systems are indeed detecting, it says this is what it must mean. These systems indeed are detecting UFOs on a regular basis. So either they're not detecting them and all our billions and billions of dollar systems are worthless because somebody's sending stuff into the airspace and that we don't know and we can't identify, or we're not responding to. We're not sending planes after them. We're not shooting at them. We're not warning them. They're just flying around because they can, and we can't see them. That it's either that, or these systems are detecting UAP on a regular basis, but NORAD is not releasing that information to Congress or the ARROW, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, that Congress created specifically to oversee UAP collection and analysis. So again, they're defying the law. This is if Russia launched a nuclear missile at North America, these would be the guys who instantly would identify it. Or China, North Korea, you name it. Anything in the sky that's threatening America or Canada. That's what NORAD does. That's it. That's their job. And yet they see none of this. Come on. We're not stupid. Maybe we are stupid. Maybe especially we right-wingers who've been told decade after decade never question the military. This is why they did that. You trust us. Just trust us. Huh? Your own people don't trust you. What are you talking about? We should be able to. There should be a back and forth trust. But that's gone. It's gone. You know what it reminds me of? It's not to get off topic, but Uvalde. You remember Uvalde, the school shooting last, whenever that was? I try to put out of my mind instantly. When that happened and the police stood by and did nothing as children were murdered, they were right there in the building and they just sat there. To me, that's what this is like. How could you possibly, if you're a Uvalde, Texas resident, how in the world could you ever, in a million years, ever trust the police again? If you ever did, that's gone for good. It is for me. Not to say every police department would respond the same way, and thank God they don't, because unfortunately we've got a lot of chances to prove that you don't. Shooting up schools, people handle it different ways, but the point is, if you have the most basic level of trust, which is we will protect your children from getting shot by a crazy person in their school, if you can't do that, if you refuse to do that, I'm not talking about policy, I'm talking about, here's the shooter, he just went in the door, whatever, they're in the door now, police are on the scene and they're standing around waiting. That's what I'm talking about. So they literally refused to engage because they were afraid of something worse than little kids being shot in the head. What's worse than that? What is the point of being a police officer if you refuse to stop that? Because you're afraid of something even worse. Even worse? That's what this is, I think. That's what we're seeing. Whereas the United States military and intelligence are blocking the truth, the disclosure of any level. I'm not saying every bit has to come out. Maybe there are things that would endanger our folks all over the world or here at home. Whatever. Point is, the level of deceit and theft and even worse things are happening, and they just would prefer to do that because telling the truth would be worse. That's what they've decided. That you cut to the foundation, the bedrock of the trust between the country and their protectors. Well, their military. Hopefully we depend on God. If you can't trust your military to tell you the truth and protect you from things in the sky, that is your only friggin' job. Excuse me, but it's your only job, Air Force, Space Force, NORAD, NASA, whatever. Like, this is your job. And you won't do it. You won't do it. Not that you can't. Maybe you think you can't. Maybe you really can't. But you have to tell us that. You'd rather, think this is all worth it because we actually won't go in and stop it. Or we can't do anything about it. We think we can't do nothing. It should be like the Uvalde police saying, we're not going to go stop this gunman shooting up the kids because, we can't stop them. Anyway, what are you guys thinking on this? It's about what I want to say. So go rewind if you missed it. Bondservant says, do you think these PTB want a crisis? I'm sorry, I'm dumb. What does PTB mean? Until you let me know what that means. You say, also, last year in Colorado Springs, where I am, overnight, there was a group of these lights. Crafts and video was taken right over NORAD. But officials wouldn't or couldn't say what they were. Exactly. They went to the... if they did know what they were, if they were our stuff, they would not be right over frigging NORAD. Excuse me again for the jerseys coming out of me here. The New Jersey is coming out. Born and raised Northern Jersey. But you think if there are stuff, we would let them fly over NORAD? Of course not. Of course not. So I don't, I'm sorry, I'm done with this idea that these are our things. And what we're seeing is just secret technologies of the U.S. government. Bogus. Other people have flat out said that as well. It is not our stuff. Again, this is a local resident, okay? And I know another one in Colorado, and whatever. It's not fake. It's not somebody seeing things. It's not a belief situation. And man, makes me kind of perturbed. PTB, powers that be. Pond Servant says PTB, powers that be. Okay, thank you for that. Extra slow this morning. Now this afternoon. So going back to the question, do you think the powers that be want a crisis? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to follow my own advice to y'all and not assume anything and not be arrogant and not think I know what's going on when there's nothing but mystery here, or almost nothing other than there is real stuff flying around and it's not our stuff. My opinion on this, just again, my common sense, my trying to absorb all the information I can from folks who've been studying this for years and years and years, not just the latest guy, whatever. My view is they do not want a crisis. In fact, Marianon says, never let a good crisis go to waste. Wasn't that the Obama administration or whatever? Somebody made a quip that really, really went viral. I do not believe that. I just don't. I think they're freaking, oh my gosh, stop it, Jersey. They are really scared, is what it seems like. I think we Christians tend to give our leaders way too much credit as far as the power that they have. Even in America, they just don't have that as much as you think they do. Like world leaders, they meet at this secret group or the World Economic Forum or the United Nations, and they're going to manufacture this or they're going to create that. No, they don't. They're just ding-dongs like us. Maybe they have a higher IQ. I don't know. Probably not. They like power. They like money. They're in it for themselves. Sometimes they're in it for the common good, right? They've made their money already and they just want to help others. Believe it or not, there are those people out there. Maybe they're misguided. Maybe they're deceived. If they're not believers, obviously that they're deceived at some level, but no, they don't have this power to create crises. I'm not talking about wars. You have the choice to, you know what I mean? Like false flags. If you want to go to war and you want to create a crisis in that way, kinetically, of course you can. Putin did it in Ukraine. He created that crisis. That's the type of crisis we're talking about. Yes, you can create that. But as far as this stuff where they have no control, no, they have no control. I think they think by keeping the secret, they are preventing a crisis. They do not. This stuff that's coming out is against their will. When I say the guys who know, the secret government, whatever you want to call them, the folks who know all the stuff, the programs, the UAPs, the real history, of it. They're keeping the secrets. Those people, they think by doing this, by keeping the disclosure out of the public, they are stopping a crisis. And they're doing all these things like Grusch, and all these hearings are now against what they want. It is not, they do not want this to come out. It's very Hollywood kind of. Okay. Bond Servant says, with the political turmoil, aka Biden stuff being exposed, and now UAP makes me wonder. I'm not a conspiratist, but man, something's hinky, like a crisis would help them somehow. No, it wouldn't. Look, Trump was just has as much turmoil as Biden, and the next guy is going to have turmoil too. That's not the issue, sis. It's not, so they don't have that ability. Again, the bottom line of this is they don't want it to come out. They're not helping anyone. Joe Biden doesn't know the truth. Joe Biden can't make anything happen in regards to this. He's torn completely. The executive branch knows a little, but not the whole thing. They are told by their military people, we cannot let this out, so they're not going to do it. It's not a distraction from this scandal with his son. I mean, it's not even with, I mean, he's old and should retire. That's the scandal with him. But anyways, no, I just don't see that at all. Again, these folks who know the secret do not want it to come out. They would never release anything if it was up to them. Nothing. That's the allegation is, again, go back and listen, go read the stuff. The allegation is it's a multi-decade program. It's bigger than Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George W. Bush combined. It has nothing to do with parties or leaders. Nothing. Politics is the distraction, to be honest with you, from the UAP stuff. They love it when there's a scandal and stuff and hearings and all this stuff, and Trump tries to overrule the Constitution and forget the elections. Like, they're fine with that because nobody talks about what they're covering up now. Thank you very much. You go do the politics, you do the president thing, you do the elections, whatever. Have fun. They love it. I think they love it when there's other stuff to talk about. Hunter Biden, Trump indictments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. New elections, vilify the other side. They love all that stuff because it means you're not looking at them. So the timing of this stuff coming out is just all about the Lord, honestly. Democrats have nothing to do with it. Republicans have nothing to do with it. That's why I was important right off the bat to show folks, whether it be the initial hearings in July or the fact that this 11 hours of testimony classified is in front of both Republicans and Democrats, liberals and conservatives, MAGA and socialists. Okay. Everyone is in on this, like has heard it and is serious about it. It's not political at all. That's what I see. Pond Servant says it's going to hurt a lot of people if something happens. Yup. I know you said you will witness to an alien, but overall people will freak. We need to be mature and walk in the spirit. I will freak. Right? I'm going to need a minute. Okay. If it turns out that, yeah, this actually is another species that God created that is basically superior to mankind. And it's not an angel, or it's not a satanic forces or whatever, and it actually just is somebody from another planet. I'm gonna need a minute or two, okay? But yeah, I mean, intellectually, yes, we should be about. Well, if we don't know, we might as well tell them about It's all about Jesus, and there is such a thing as sin and judgment, and telling the truth. But yes, of course, most people will freak out, including most Christians. Sister, right? Bondservant. That's my main focus, and that's why we shouldn't. I really think we should not assume anything. Don't assume they're aliens. Don't assume they're not. Marianon, you're kind of restating what Bondservant did. And again, brother, I got to push back on this. This is not of the spirit. This is of your flesh. Something is weird about the timing. Why? It would always be weird. The world is changing quite a bit. It's been changed, right? I mean, you could say that about any year. This would trump everything. This would make it instantly weird, period, right? No matter what. If it happened in the 50s, if it happened in the 70s during Watergate, it's just a distraction from Watergate. If it happened during Vietnam, if it happened during the Gulf War, if it happened, I don't know, if it happened during the 2000 election, right? It's always, someone would always come out and say, oh, this is just a distraction. It's not. Those things it's opposite, right? If there really is a program and secret government and people stealing our money and committing crimes to cover this up, and there's things flying around our skies, which there are, that are not our stuff, that's not a political thing. It didn't just start happening. The testimony, if you listen to it, Marianon, I hope you did. Did you? The two sets of testimony from those pilots were from the Obama administration, and one was from George W. Bush administration. So it's transcending current issues or current presidents or current leaders or current scandals. It's above all that. And so if you have military incidents, I mean, again, once we start peeling back the onion, and you realize that there have been military engagements for years and years and years, there's videos there's two that I know of over Iraq, over our military positions, over a fire zone. Whatever it is, they're very interested in our military stuff. This is why the military freaks out and doesn't want to tell anyone, because their stuff is better than our stuff. And we literally have shot missiles at them and nothing happens. Either they fly away or they just sit there, absorb the explosion and nothing. And they fly over our nuclear weapons, our missile silos in North Dakota, in Montana, where we're developing the nuclear weapons. They just hang out. Sometimes they shut off our systems of our missiles. They'll show up and say, "Hey, what's that over there?" Our ICBMs are offline. In one case in Russia, they turn them on. In Ukraine Ukraine. Yeah, we all know about Ukraine now. What about in the 80s when it was part of the Soviet Union and they had an ICBM base there with missiles aimed at, London and New York City, and UAP shows up over the Russian ICBM site and activates the missile. I'm just saying that there's so much actual information out there from years and years ago that you've got to remove it from, our current kind of myopic, you know what I mean? Like you're zooming in too close on what's happening right this second. You're not zooming out to see the big picture. So we've got to be careful about that. Well, Christians love to do that. Oh gosh, I know. We are so bad at that. We are bad, terrible, lazy when it comes to history. We stink. Okay. We say we know American history. Some of us do. Okay, that's great. But to have an actual historical view of current events is so lacking. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. God is good, yes. God is good. He has to reveal the truth of this, right? Yep. I trust he will tell us or reveal the truth. He will. Right? Like I said at the beginning, Jesus promised that nothing is hidden that won't be revealed. Nothing. He will make sure of it. Now, it doesn't guarantee it happens before the seventh trumpet. Okay, it might be before when Jesus actually returns that it is disclosed. Hopefully not that long, but yes, he has guaranteed this will come out. So when it does, we have to be ready as Christians. And if it doesn't, or if it slow drips like it is now, we've got to make sure to do the right thing, whether we're observing it, where we're in our churches, where we're church leaders, whether we're in the military, in these programs, to do the right thing, to do as Jesus would do, to be a disciple, to be a good witness that would not bring shame on him, shame on his name, right? All the time, everything we do. You say it's unsettling, but I want the truth. Yeah, it is. It is. When God's, again, I keep going back to these same scriptures, but when he says, I'm going to shake the heavens and the earth one more time, when he says, I'm going to shake everything that can be shaken, everything that can be, guys, that's everything except his kingdom. That's Satan's kingdom. That's the earth. That's nature. That's the universe, right? All those things can be, and shaken. That's not a pleasant experience. If those of you who've been in an earthquake, and I haven't, but I don't really, the testimonies for people who've been in earthquakes isn't fun. It's not like, oh, I got this, this is awesome. I know exactly what's happening. I know exactly when it's going to stop. I know exactly what the magnitude is on the Richter scale. Right? You just have to endure it. Just get through it. It's going to shake your world up. Maybe you lose your house. Maybe you lose your cat. Maybe you lose your place of work. Maybe you lose your family or your own life. But that's what shaking is. That's what God's going to do. To hold on to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, that's the only way. That's the anchor. That's why it's called the anchor of your soul, right? Like that, you have to hang on to that, because everything else is shifting sand. Everything else will fall, including maybe the United States government and the country in general. I don't know, but this could do it. I've never seen anything talking about UFOs, UAP things. I've never seen anything, but even one time I was in a group and they saw a UFO and I didn't. Not sure what to think if I do see something. We already have vids over NORAD and nearby. It's weird, isn't it? But like, is it? I mean, yes, it's kind of unexplainably weird. Like, I don't know how that would happen. How could they see it and I didn't? Or the reverse. What if somebody sees something and the group they're with didn't? You're going to seem really nuts to yourself, probably, right? But again, you can say, well, let's just put that on the back burner and whatever, ignore that. Well, now, wait a minute. That's biblical, right? When Paul was struck down on the road to Damascus, not everyone saw. He saw Jesus there, but no one else did. Some people saw the light, but not a person. They saw Paul fall down, but had no idea why. When there's two different instances in the gospel where the voice of God actually is spoken, says, "This is my beloved son," things like that. Some people said, "Oh, that was just thunder." Do you know what I mean? So yes, even God, forget if these are Satan's vehicles or tricks or whatever, but it's very biblical that a group can be look at Pentecost. You heard some, it says, spoke in their own language, in their own dialect. And yet some would just say, oh, they're drunk. Why would they say, oh, these guys are just drunk if they're speaking in their language, which is impossible. Either they completely ignored it happening. They thought it was a random chance that they're speaking their own language, or they didn't hear it. I hope I'm not confusing anyone or being obtuse about this. I'm trying to say, yes, there's something to a lot of this. And the world and what Jesus said, like the miracles that he did and the things that happened to him and to the apostles, some of it's really strange. Or the prophets in the Old Testament, some of it is really strange. So I guess prepare for battle, okay? Prepare for strangeness. Marrying on. I do live near the Phoenix area. My own mother saw the Phoenix lights when that was happening. Yeah, that's a famous incident. And it's one of those things where it's on camera too, right? Wasn't it on the news? Like the local news, like broadcast it? It's on camera. Many thousands of people, I think, saw that. Saw those. They were just hanging in the air. Just hanging up. They didn't move, right? They didn't fly in or out. They didn't do anything. They just kind of hung out there. And of course, people were asking, hey, military, what's up? Is that you? Nope, not us. Is that anybody's stuff? Everyone said, nope, not us. And it just kind of went away. And oh, well, wonder what that was. Well, I wouldn't be satisfied with that. You've got unexplained things hanging out over a major city in our airspace. No one's bothering to deal with it. No one's admitting it's our stuff. Well, it's not our stuff. Where's my F-16s? How do you know they're not going to explode or drop bombs? Who knows what's in there? Yeah. So we've got to, you know what I mean? So to have that attitude of, well, strange stuff is sometimes it's real. Okay. Sometimes you can explain it and sometimes you can't. And why can't you? Well, it's either because you just don't get it. And some people can understand it, but you just can't. Or it's something new that's going to shake our understanding of how the universe works and who's in it. T-Rex says, yeah, the whole Bible's filled with strange and mysterious, unexplainable miracles, etc. Don't know why we are so uncomfortable with not understanding what's going on. Well, let's just say, for those of us who are not uncomfortable, we're the minority. I'm not even sure if I put myself in there. But anyone who is a T-Rex, you're, God bless you. You are a special person. I mean that nicely. Most people are very uncomfortable. Maybe it's the way that we've approached or been taught or learned about miracles in the Bible, like just to dismiss them because of our Western minds. I don't know. You know, the Western mind is always very analytical and, well, must be scientifically, shown to be this or that somehow. And we've just said, it's just poetry. It's poetry. I love that one. That's the best. When you see the prophecy in the Old Testament about the return of Jesus, or about the millennial temple in Ezekiel, or about the flying wheels and the cherubim and that whole thing, right? This is just poetic expressions of things that to get the readers to be entertained, or to say it something nice and beautifully. Lame. It's so lame. Or Revelation. No, it's all poetry. It's all poetry. Maybe that's how we're approaching it, or just frankly, we just don't believe it's true. It's just an expression, or it's a story. It's just a story. Noah, the flood. The flood never happened. That's just a story. On and on. Red Sea, that never actually happened. And you know what? Your Bible itself probably says it never happened. Did you know that? Your Bible itself, just as an example, go to the maps in the back of most every Bible that shows an Exodus route out of Egypt. Not one of them shows the crossing of the Red Sea. Weird, right? Because it's too unbelievable. They can't possibly imagine that what the Bible describes is a fact. It must be an image of something else. It must be a parable. It must be, not the Red Sea. It was this little creek over here that they crossed over. That Pharaoh ended up drowning in and all his armies. Do you know what I mean? We've got to end this. This is going on too long, but I love you, people who are contributing here. T-Rex says, I'm not fully comfortable with what's going on at all. Okay, well, that's good. I feel a little better. But I tried to relax into realizing that there are plenty of things we don't understand. Yeah, but even there, I mean, that's a novel concept. Until they found chariots under the Red Sea. Yeah, the chariot wheels. But even that, sister, they deny it to this day. These aren't actually chariot wheels. They're just coral formations. Right? It's just like this UAP thing. These aren't actually vehicles. They're weather balloons or tricks of the sky. This is the humidity, secret airplane programs, everything in the universe except for what it actually is. Humans are not good at seeing things they don't get. The human brain is not wired. When you see something that you don't have a paradigm for, you don't have a memory of, you don't know what you're looking at, it's hard to overcome your brain's reaction of, I must be imagining it, this is not happening, I'm dreaming or something, or I'm just going to forget it in a second. As soon as it's over, I'm forgetting it. That's what your brain does, or is wired to do somehow. Bond Servant says, I need to find the video of what was seen over NORAD. Pretty amazing. I was sleeping at that time. Yeah. Yep. It's crazy, man. Anyways. Okay. So needless to say, this is ongoing. And it's going to get probably more confusing before it gets less. And again, as the church, I want this to be a place where you can talk about it, where we can discuss these things and not mock each other or, think we know everything. And I'm not pulling that out of my, what. I'm just like, it happens every week. I get comments on these videos from some Christian, usually with, very Hebrew letters in their profile or whatever, like somebody who's really takes seriously, so much so that they know everything. They have all the answers. Happens all the time. So please don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Because this is going to blow a lot of people away. Just understanding that it's there. Wait a minute. There is something flying around in the United States, the most powerful military in the history of man. Can't stop little orbs from flying around, or big giant things, by the way, also. And they fly better than our stuff, and they do stuff our stuff can't. What is that? It's like, this is what I mean. You have to accept that, because that's true. Whatever it is, they're there. They are there. And when I say there, yeah, they're in the sky. They're also under the ocean. We verify that at least once. And by the way, just came out yesterday, I think, a scientist says we have materials from the seabed of the Pacific Ocean that he confirmed is not of the Earth. It came from somewhere else, outside of the planet. So Avi Loeb is his name. If that's true, other than how did it get down there, there's only one question left, which is it a naturally occurring metal or something, like it's just somehow formed in an asteroid or a meteorite, and that's what got down there? Was it naturally occurring, or was it created by someone else who doesn't live here? Okay, that's where we're at, and that's very similar to what this UAP thing is. If it's not ours, who built it, and why can it do all this stuff? So either our understanding of the universe and physics is wrong, and things that are quote unquote impossible are possible. To me, this is exactly what Jesus would do, right? He says it's not impossible. All things with God are possible. Well, how do we take that? You know what I mean? If you just have faith, a mountain will literally move. And so again, like, we have models of physics, like theoretical things, like all the way back to Einstein, relativity. That's our basis of how we know how things work, and gravity and forces, and how we can create these awesome technologies that we have today. That's how we can fly in the air with stuff that weighs tons and tons. 100 years ago, the prevailing attitude was it's impossible for something that's heavier than, I forget what it was, some really lightweight, to ever fly. It's literally impossible. That's what they said 20 years ago. Look what's right. It's obviously it wasn't. We just didn't get it. Same stuff's happening now. And like Einstein, part of his relativity and all that always allowed for time travel. So if this stuff is true about how atoms and forces work and stuff, there's got to be somehow or another, there's got to be a chance that you can travel through time, because time is just like a dimension of space. And so if all these other things are true, maybe it seems like it has to be. Mathematically, it is true. So anyways, it's stuff like that we've, as the church, got to be ready for, prepared for our people to come to us about it, and to not mock and ridicule and say, I know what's going on 100%, when you don't. I don't. God will reveal it. I'll leave it up to him. And like Bondservant is going to say, and end this show off today, then let's pray God reveal the truth and give us wisdom. Amen. Okay, let's do that. All right, guys, until next time, this is Unsealed. Really enjoy this time that we have together. Please share this. Please give to the ministry if you want this to continue. Whatever breaks as far as news on this stuff, I'll try to compile it to bring it to you next week. I'm not opposed to going on more than once a week. It's just a time issue for my side. But if you don't have a church, we have an online church for you, End Time Church, endtime.church. Be there Monday night, 8 p.m. live. Get our app at endtime.app. And we do things all week long there as well. But again, support us, share this, easy. Hit the share button right now on the YouTube right now, or the Facebook right now. Thank you very much. If anyone stayed to the end, God bless you. Until next time, it's Pastor Manti 4, Unsealed.
To hear previous episodes, to obtain resources, and to support this ministry, visit unsealedpodcast.com.
Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But he who stands firm to the end will be saved.